Boom. Welcome, guys. It's the Punk Theology Podcast video edition. Who knew it took a global pandemic to get us to do a video show? And we're doing the audio, of course, too. But yeah, if listeners want to see what we look like, I don't know.
This is a really unfortunate way to let people know what we look like.
God, no kidding.
I saw this thing where Matthew McConaughey was doing a Zoom video, and he looked just terrible. And one of the guys commented and was like, "Man, think about what the rest of us looks like if Matthew McConaughey just looks terrible."
Right. I've got the makeup doing everything. Yeah, but I don't know. This is kind of how I look. Got my Louisville Slugger. This is about as got my punk rock shirt. I found this at a thrift store for like 50 cents. So
what's our topic?
Well, I don't know. They would kick around what's going on with the pandemic. I wrote down some questions, but just, let's do some check-in, man. How are you guys doing? Derek's been home for a couple of weeks. Steve, how long have you been home now?
I've been home for a couple of weeks.
Wow.
I've been home since February.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've only been home since the middle of March.
So, man, I've been home a week and a half now. And yeah, it's weird, I'm not used to this.
No.
The boundaries between, because I've got all this creative stuff I do, and little projects here and there, but it's like the boundaries between work life and home life, are all skewed and weird, and it feels like, how do you guys feel about that? Like, what the anxiety, the not being able to stay on task for me, it's been a thing. Like, sometimes I'll sit down, I'm going to do this now. And then there's like, I don't know, Derek's got the kids and Steve, you got a puppy.
Well, yeah, I've got a dog, and I got my wife and daughter. And there was time last week that all three of us were trying to work on our computers and make phone calls, and the dog was wanting attention. So it's like, God, I can't do this. So I took the dog for a half-hour walk. I just had to de-stress. But yeah, it's real, because typically I come home and I'm alone for 2 or 3 hours doing my work orders and making phone calls from the house. Nobody's home. But now we're all here all the time. There's nowhere to go.
Yes.
My kids have been really interesting to watch, because my daughter just cannot handle home is for being home and school is for being at school. So she's really struggled to just get any school, which is interesting because she's a great student and she usually loves school, but she just cannot handle the whole being home thing and having to do school. And my son is the exact opposite. He's just like doing everything. He's doing this Prodigy game. I think I posted something about this on Facebook. It's like a math role-playing game, and he's absolutely crushing it. He lets you keep track of what he's done, and he's done 88% of all the first grade curriculum since Saturday. And it's like 1,500 questions that he's answered or something like that.
And how old is he?
He's 6.
He's 6, and he's up to 8th grade curriculum.
No, not 8th grade. No, 1st grade. He's almost to 1st grade. Yeah.
Oh, okay. But
yeah,
he's
not yet.
He's zooming through it. Yeah,
he burned through it in 6 days, basically. Which Arthur and I were talking about. Like, really shows you like kids don't like some kids really don't need to be spending as much time in school as they are if you can get through the entire curriculum in 6 days.
Yeah.
Does that surprise you that he's that way?
No, he has an obsessive personality.
Gotcha.
And he loves games, and they gamify this. So he will just keep on going, just because he loves the whole games aspect of it. So, and it's actually amazing. Every like couple hours, I come upstairs and I toss him a math question, and he's just killing it. So really good.
Wow.
I was thinking about that too. Like, there's Matt Roper, who's a YouTube guy. He was a engineer at NASA. He's teaching like science classes now. online, and there's like, DeGrasse Tyson's doing some things, and there's, all these mega experts are out there, and it's sort of like, what if we start to find that education is better than all this money we're spending on public schools, because you look at, especially in the United States here, like we have some of the worst test scores in the world. Like we're one of the richest countries with the dumbest kids. There's kids in third world countries that beat us, and we wonder why. And you like gamifying it, like you said, Derek, gamifying it for your son and making it fun and making it like he wants to learn. It's just really interesting to me. Like I'm not shitting on. Well, I'm kind of shitting on our public schools. I went to public school. I freaking hated it. But then again, it's sort of like a personality thing. What kind of personality do you have? And
that's kind of the what's going on with my daughter and my son is my daughter's not doing well. She does way better in the classroom setting, way better. But Joe's always kind of struggled with the social aspects of school. He's been getting bullied and stuff a lot, and I think he was loving being at home. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see if this opens up some alternative options for some kids.
Yeah.
I don't know how I would have done in that setting at his age, or even your daughter's age. I struggle. I think I'd have struggled even more at home.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
Too distracted.
Me and my mom both had moments where we were talking about my homeschooled friends, and we look at each other and be like, "Hell no, there's no way." No. Like either of us had even a little bit of an interest in doing the homeschool thing.
Well, it's interesting because my oldest got her master's online in math for elementary education, and she zipped through the whole year in less than 6 months. She loved it. She'd just check in online with her, or she'd make a phone call like once every 2-3 weeks to check in with her advisor, take the test, boom, she's done.
Burn through her own stuff.
Yeah, so it'd be interesting to see if colleges don't do that.
Yeah. Well, it's harder to justify charging people $30,000 a year if you started going that direction.
Yeah, well, I think hers was 6,000. It was 6,000 for the master's program, right. And she had a year to accomplish it, and then she did it in 6 months.
Right.
But it'll be interesting. See how society, if this is the new normal.
Kicking my shoes off. I don't think I've ever done one of these PT shows with my shoes off. So that's a new experiences here tonight. My kids are both grown, and my son and daughter were opposite like that too. Like my daughter just really did well in school, and my son had to kind of be prodded and poked along. And when he had a really good teacher, that's the thing about having a personality there to guide and direct. And when he had a really good teacher, he did really well. And when he didn't, he struggled, Same with me. I don't know. I don't know how I would have done with schooling. My mom was never home, so there was no homeschooling involved. My mom was a business owner and single mom most of the time when I was growing up. And then when she did get married to my stepfather, who was a truck driver, he's a long-haul truck driver, so she was still a single mom pretty much. But yeah, that's education, man. School, so many weird, forming memories happen during those times in school, and I wonder what or even the homeschool kids, how they deal with all of that. Did you homeschool for a while, Derek, right? Or no?
No, I went to a small private school, it was almost like a homeschool cooperative type of thing.
Okay.
I think it was 1st through 8th grade, and the whole school usually had about 60 kids or something like that. So it was very small. It kind of had the homeschool feel, but again, I got to get out of the house. I got to go to a dedicated classroom and spend time with someone that wasn't my mom.
Right.
And that was always, I just know about me and my daughter are very similar. And I would have done what my daughter is doing now, just not been able to focus at all.
Right.
Just kind of curl up in my room and do whatever the hell I wanted.
Yeah, I wonder how many of those people during this whole, pandemic everybody social distancing and all of that, like people that grew up like homeschooled, I wonder if they're like flourishing. This isn't different.
I can do this. Yeah.
Right. It's just a weird, because isolation, like that's the thing with me, and I learned that like I could be isolated and in a group of people during some of my more challenged mental health times. I was kind of always isolated, even when I was around people. So I don't know where that got started as far as school is concerned and authority and stuff like that. I think authority and issues with authority can come from, I don't know, shitty teachers maybe growing up, but and then you pair that into something like this happening and how the government is responding to, everyone being unemployed. Like when the hospitals got overrun in China, we started, like here in Washington State, it's been pretty good because we've been pretty good at flattening the curve. Like I've been watching the news and
probably on the best path of almost any other state in terms of we've been through. We're close to through the worst of it, and we're doing pretty good.
Yeah. And there's 2-3 million people between Everett and Tacoma.
Right.
And for us to not have totally flooded the hospitals, and sure, the hospitals are pretty busy,
Yeah, but they're not.
But they're not like New York, and some other place. I heard New Orleans is
bad.
having a really hard time.
New Jersey's getting really bad.
Yeah, but I think one of the things that we didn't think about was social services, right? Like all of a sudden you see those peaks right on the news and how the hospital is trying to deal with all the rush of people coming to the hospital. But now you have this massive rush of people coming to unemployment or DSHS, and there's no food, right? We're running out. We have no money, can't get food, can't pay the bills. And so, we passed this bill, the stimulus bill here in the United States, and it sounds pretty good. I'm, especially as a Lyft and Uber driver, like there's specific language in it for self-employed and even for Lyft and Uber. And it's like $400 to $600 a week for us self-employed people, unemployment through this government program. But God knows when we'll ever see it, right? Just because there's like this whole like curve and like there's millions of people. I got up yesterday morning and called at 8 a.m. to the unemployment office. Busy already. 8:01. I'm like, dial. So yeah, God knows what's.
Isn't there a website you can go to?
Yeah, but there's nothing on the website for self-employed people.
Gotcha.
It's set up for the employed folks. So you have to have like 600 and some odd hours of unemployment to be able to even get to the part where you're filing for unemployment. So there's nothing in Washington. Then they said, give us 3 weeks. All right. I was like, okay. But yeah, for right now, if you log in there, there's nothing for self-employed people.
I saw a thing that said half the states won't actually even be able to cover the unemployment load that they currently have coming in. Like there's just not enough money. Right.
So what is the percentage of unemployment right now, isn't it?
Well, see, so a week ago there were 3 million unemployment claims, and then yesterday 6.6 million. So it's about 10 million people. But you figure there's probably 2 people for every person that's filed already. So it might be 30 or 40 million people, which is a lot.
A lot of people. Right.
Yeah.
Workforce is like 168 million, I think, in the U.S. So yeah, we're pushing into 20-25%.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I read is somewhere in there, and they're expecting it to go higher, as high as 35 to 40%.
Yep.
It's like,
well, it's all a cascade thing, right? Like everything's so interwoven.
Right.
That all these dominoes start falling, and then it's a good time to be working at the unemployment claims office, though.
Yeah.
They're doing some good business right now.
I'm sure you're super busy, but you don't have to worry about a paycheck.
Yeah. That's the funny thing. Like, I wish I could have gone back 6 months ago to some of my conservative friends and said, hey, I bet you in 6 months, Trump will be handing out Andrew Yang style checks to every American, he'll even bump it $200. He'll do $1,200 instead of the 1,000. I'll bet you $50. Yeah.
I saw this great quote that I think John posted it, but it was, why do we love capitalism so much that every 10 years we have to bail it out with socialism? That's totally what the model is.
Yeah.
Just let the capitalists run crazy and get the thing running red hot, the economy running red hot, and then something happens, and then the whole thing just shuts down like a fucking Ferrari with a like a clump of oil or something that ran through the system.
Yeah. A valve or something. Yeah.
And then we gotta bail the whole thing out with a giant socialistic package. Then we get the thing running red hot again for another 10 years. And then Yeah,
that's the funny thing about libertarianism too. Like all the libertarians who would have said, well, we'll let, GM die, or let, some of these companies, which I kind of agree with, like, I don't know, we should be bailing out General Motors, for example.
Well, it's not capitalism.
All of the jobs. What's that?
It's not capitalism if you don't let them die.
Exactly. Yeah. See, that's where the socialism comes in, like you're saying. And so, but I was listening to, of all people, Donald Trump talk about the energy companies. And if we just pulled the plug on the energy companies and said, no, we're not giving you any money, like just go out of business and we'll let the grassroots of energy start. Like that would be cool, but it would be horribly painful for probably a good freaking decade, Wheel like a hamster or something to get the lights going in your house. Like it would be bad.
Yeah, we'd end up in Mad Max.
Yeah.
That's where that would go.
I'm still wondering, there's a pessimist and an optimist in me, I got the little devil on my shoulder and the optimist over here. And the little devil keeps saying, kind of like with this whole thing with unemployment, when are people going to just fucking eat the rich, right? Like that's a fear. I think that's why this whole stimulus package came out. It's like, see, we're going to give you guys money. Don't fucking come kill us all, Like,
it's starting to get
the late 1800s or something, right?
Yeah, there's been kind of a French Revolution brewing for a while, and this is going to make that way worse. Yeah.
If they don't get out ahead of it, and we have the technology to do it, I think. I don't know, but it's just the bureaucracy, and if you put somebody who actually had the smarts and logistics around pulling it off, we would probably get it done. But yeah, I don't know. You look at Obamacare. I mean, when Obamacare first came out, people were signing up for that. Remember, the whole computer system just crashed.
Yeah.
It took like 24 hours for the thing to just grind to a halt. But eventually it started, the tech guys got in there and it started working. So I don't know. I'm trying to be optimistic over here, dear.
But yeah, that's when we last met. We were prefacing this about the fear of the unknown.
Yeah.
And now the unknown is here.
Yeah.
Unknown is how long will this last? Unknown is how long will I keep getting a paycheck? Fortunately, my wife works for the school district, so she's in a contract through the end of the summer. So, hopefully by then we'll have some semblance of returning. But I don't know. I was listening to a talk show today, and they're thinking there's more of this going to be the new normal than reverting back.
Yeah.
We'll see. I mean, as far as social distancing, will we go back to handshakes? Will we go back to when we're sick, wearing masks more often? You've always seen those folks that would wear the mask, and it might be the surgical mask. They might be out mowing the lawn for allergy's sake, or you'd see them walking around town. But you wonder now if that might not be more common.
Yeah, well, it's been common in Asian countries for a really long time, and it's weird. I went to Costco and I wore a mask when I was in there. Nobody else did, and it was great because everybody really kept their distance.
Yeah,
like it was like I'm like, oh shit, what's wrong with
got
him?
Something. Stay away from that motherfucker.
Yep.
Well, and that's what's really strange. and I threw this up on Facebook last night, Strange Days by the Doors. And it's so apropos. He says, strange days have found us. Strange days have tracked us down.
Yeah.
It's so bizarre to see the responses you get from people, especially as I was going around. I'm considered, our business is considered essential because we deliver to
Paper. Yep.
paper, pens and stuff. I got just on the phone tonight with the health district. She is scrambling. They're doing that drive-through COVID-19 test site. Well, she ordered 40 cases of water last Friday for their testing site. And then today she's panicking for hand sanitizer and wipes. And we are back ordered until summer on getting in that stuff. And she said her normal supplier won't give it to her because they're allotting their shipment based on past purchases. So I'm scrambling trying to find it. And she says, yeah, when you drop anything off, they want to keep their distance from you.
Yeah.
Right.
Where I was at Public Defenders downtown Everett delivering paper this week, they didn't care. I mean, I'm walking, they come down there, let us in the elevator. We're in the elevator with them. I'm just a little freaked out.
Yeah.
I don't like elevators with people anyway. So I usually walk, but I'm carrying 5 cases, or I'm hand trucking 5 cases of paper in. But it is really unusual to see the people's reaction, even in interacting, like their reaction to you at Costco, dear. Or if you run over, I'm taking advantage of the senior hours at Safeway and QFC. So I'm in there with a bunch of 70 and 80-year-olds. But it's nice because there's not that many people there. But you see the people, some are completely wrapped. They've got the surgical mask plus then the scarf around their face.
Yeah.
And they got the big gloves on. I'm like, but that's what's kind of been fun. It's just in a kind of a sick way, is to see how people are responding to it.
Yeah.
That fear of the unknown.
Yeah, that's I spend a lot of time kind of struggling with my own curiosity on this, because sometimes I wake up and I'm enraptured by this. It's so, I look at all the numbers, I follow what's going on, and what this here, what does that number mean? Just because that's my personality. I'm a curious engineer. This type of stuff is fascinating. But sometimes I have a moment where I'm like, that number is dead people. Like, I've been kind of, getting all nerdy and interested in these numbers, and I just have to take a step back sometimes and be like, no, that's a lot of dead people.
Yeah.
Maybe you should have a little more sobriety over that. But yeah, there's an odd, well, morbidity, I suppose, is the best word for it. Which means,
and what you said in the last episode, Derek, kind of had me thinking too. And some other people have said it too, but I don't know. You're my friend, so I listen to you. I'm kind of the anti-authority guy. Like, don't fucking tell me shit. Because when this whole thing started, I'm a Lyft driver, right? And I'm kind of like, this is mass hysteria. I even have my, my friend who works at the hospital who's going, it's not that bad. It's just an aggressive flu virus, And then as things unfold and more information comes out, like she's looking more nervous, and she's like always at friggin' work, right? Like she was in an accident. I mentioned that, but in the last episode, Derek, you mentioned some of that, and that had me thinking and getting into it. And you're right. There's just so much we don't know. There's so many 30-year-olds and it's rare, but they die from this thing. Yep. A lot of times you get 20, 30-year-olds. This one kid was 19 years old. They don't die of the flu, but they're dying of this thing. And so there's so much we don't know about it. And here's another one. Just going through some of I still have a lot of friends on social media who are either pastors or in churches and pretty active in ministry, right? And people who like there's a judgy thing. I think there's always an underlying judgy thing to a lot of religious folks, right? Like if I can find someone to point the finger at, I feel a little better, But there's no one to be mad at, right? Like there's people that have symptoms for 2 weeks without showing anything, and you're like, what? You can't blame anyone. If I could blame someone, I would feel way better, but
it's a tiny little virus that you can't see, and you can't do anything about, and there's no answers. The greatest minds in the world and the richest people in the world have very few options that are any better than some of the poorest people.
Yeah.
It's just a weird, and there is definitely an equalizing sense to everything that's going on, and that everybody's stuck at home.
Yeah, that's one of the things I read too, is that he said it's a non-respecter of age, of wealth, of race, gender. It is an equal opportunity getter.
Except it kills men.
Yeah.
In Italy, it was like 70-30 in terms of men dying. But
Well, and that's being 64. My youngest is, Dad, you're high risk. I've been, you see, it's also allergy season.
Yeah,
so
it sucks.
That's the frustrating part. I'll wake up in the morning and I'm stuffy, like I was stuffy this all day today.
Yeah.
But
I
don't have the sore throat. I don't have a fever. I don't have the aches, which I typically get with a cold.
Right.
So, but your mind just starts to run.
Freaking out. Yep.
Yeah. And then if I have, like I carried a case of paper into a customer today, and I'm all out of breath when I got in there, and she goes, "Are you okay?" And I go, "Yeah, this isn't COVID. I'm just out of shape and out of breath."
Yeah.
But that's where your mind goes. I go dark in a hurry.
Yeah.
I got it. I know it.
When Misha was still in school, it was a rough 2 weeks for me.
Really?
I was having lots of allergy stuff. I started having chest pain. I have recurring pleurisy in my lungs.
Uh-huh.
And that, I was just waking up at 2 a.m, like, holy shit, this is it. We're going, yep, I got it. I definitely got it. And making plans for how I'm going to quarantine myself and all that shit. And just,
I throw my asthma in there too.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and periodically, every year, seems like in November and December, my asthma just goes batshit crazy on me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's all day for about 2 or 3 weeks. And if that had been now, I would have been down there screaming at the emergency room people. I got it. I know I got it.
I know, but you don't want to go to the emergency room either, because that's where you definitely get it.
God, yeah.
It's the worst place to go.
Well, it's interesting because, looking back, my daughter was really sick back in December, and my wife was sick in February. Almost a 2-week, every symptom.
Yeah.
Bad cough, fever, out of breath, shortness of breath, really tired. And we just lost Russ.
Yeah.
Come back, Russ. But
I am back.
I think what you'll find then is what she wants to get tested for the antibodies, as does my youngest, to see if that antibody, if she's had it, then she can be, she's got that antibody built up, so she'll be more of not immune to it, but her antibodies will kick it out.
Well, I was telling Russ the other day he needs to get tested because it'll be way easier for him to find a job.
Oh yeah, you're not kidding.
If you can prove that you can't get it anymore, there's hundreds of jobs that you could get right now.
Hey, I'm back.
Russ.
I'm going in and out on you.
Are you with us?
Yeah, I'm here.
It is.
Can you see me now?
Comcast is throttling you.
Share. There we go. Yeah. Okay. You see me now?
Yep.
Can hear you.
It keeps crashing on me a little bit.
So, Derek, are you talking to your kids about this?
A little bit, not too much, but when it comes up in conversation, we talk about it. But yeah, I don't know that I'm not trying not to get too deep into it.
Right.
And the most important thing they need to know is that they're very low risk.
Yeah.
They still got to be smart about things, but the odds of them really getting sick are very, very low. So,
well, thinking back at that age, I doubt very much that I would have understood the severity of what it was.
No, I don't get it.
I mean, because the Bay of Pigs was when was that? 64?
Yeah. 65.
I had no clue.
Yeah.
I mean, I was 8 years old.
Yeah.
But and I've looked back at history on it now, and I go, damn, you know how close we came? I was 8 years old. I'd probably out playing in the backyard. I don't care.
You were doing the hide under your desk drills and.
Oh yeah, I did that. Yeah, we did that. Yeah.
Because that'll save you.
Oh yeah. I had neighbors that built bomb shelters, and I thought that was the coolest thing because we go over and play in them.
Yeah.
They were in the basements, but it was always fun.
Yeah, that's something you mentioned earlier, Derek, before my computer crashed or my network is I'm actually streaming this through, here's how poor I am. I'm streaming this through the hotspot on my phone because that's the only internet we got right now is through my phone. But it's working, like, thank God for T-Mobile, you know? Anyway, going back to what you said about getting a job, like, so by the time we record next week, I want to do the diligence that I need to do to find out if I've already had this thing. So I'm pretty, you know, I'm not 100% sure. I'm probably 75% sure that I've already had this, just because of how sick I was in January. And I was out of work for 4 days. I haven't taken 4 days off of work in over a decade. It was in my chest. I talked about this before on the show. But now they're pretty serious about having people come in and test if you've had the antibodies, because they need blood. And it's something they did with swine flu, right? Like if you have the antibodies in your blood, you can actually help people kick this thing, because, you know, the antibodies in your blood can get into someone else's body and possibly do the work. So I'm going to get into that starting Monday. This is going to be the weekend. If I can tomorrow, I'll go to one of the tents and see if they'll test me. I tried to call, again, busy signals. I tried to call the blood center today, and I didn't get it through to anybody, to, you know, the place where you donate blood, to see if they would test me. So I either have to go down there, or I'm going to have to go down to one of the tents and see if they'll test me, because that would be I could get a job right away with a hiring bonus. I think it was CVS around here that was paying like a $500 signing bonus to work at the pharmacy right now. No experience necessary. Like, holy smokes. My son works for Kroger, and he was saying that he says it's pretty sweet at night because he works, you know, graveyard, and they stock the shelves because they close the store now where they didn't used to. And he says, but he says it's dirty, man. He goes, I'm wearing gloves. I'm still wearing a mask because people are there all day. They're touching stuff, you know. There's things out of place, and they just clear the shelves, you know. He says they bring
Safeway too, though, right, Russ?
Gone. What's that?
Safeway is hiring too.
Yeah.
Because I heard their Northwest president last week on the radio, and he says you can literally either go online or talk to the manager of the store, fill out an application. You could be working tomorrow. Yeah. And they're wanting in all those areas you just mentioned.
But that's something my son said.
Their hours, I think, 9 to 6, 6 to 9, 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. is Albertsons. That's their shopping hours.
Yeah.
Because then they use the rest of that time to clean, disinfect, and restock the shelves. And I've noticed that the Safeway on 41st versus the QFC there on Evergreen, the QFC I find doesn't have as much stocked as the Safeway does. I'll find stuff at Safeway that I can't find at QFC.
Yeah.
You know, I get down there at 6:30 because I can get in at 6.
The thing my son was concerned about is that the reason they're doing so much hiring is because people working there are sick.
Yeah.
And getting sick.
Yep. Yep.
And so, again, that's one of those things. I'd have a lot more confidence in getting a job like that if I knew I've already had this thing. Because where, you know, now I'm starting to see, my wife and I were talking about this, about me getting in the accident with the lift car. And like, maybe that was a blessing in disguise, right? Like, I just don't know. I wasn't making much money, and now, you know, I'm on the message boards and stuff, and people are bringing back their rental cars because they're not making enough money to even cover the rental for a week. So yeah, it was, I guess, a good time to get out. A lot of the Uber and Lyft people are just, they're not making any money at all. There's nobody wanting rides right now. So yeah, I don't know, man. It's a weird time to be alive, but we're in, I'm confident that things are gonna, I don't know, I'm just oddly optimistic. I think this is a cool, strange, painful time to be alive, but there's something to the shaking of the snow globe, so to speak, right? Like it says, as a society, not even a society or a culture, the whole world has had their snow globe shaken.
Really hard.
Really freaking hard. And now we're having to deal with what's really important in life, you know? Consciousness is at the forefront of a lot of people. I think that's another thing with you having young kids, Derek, and is like they're gonna grow up knowing, where I didn't so much and my kids didn't so much, that hey, you know, shit showing up on the shelves of the grocery store isn't like natural. Like it's like the whole process of things going on.
It's magic.
Toilet paper show up on the shelves, right?
Well, this is a big, like, humanity is fragile.
Yeah.
Type of. Yeah. Like, yeah, this tiny little thing can shut down the whole world.
The whole world, I know. Tiny microscopic little thing.
You know, and it's always been
Pulls up baseball. Major League Baseball
shut down.
Canceled.
Everything.
Like, what the fuck, man?
All of sports is canceled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Hey, I put up a video of my chickens. I'm starting a chicken, like Olympics or something like that in the backyard here. Because
chicken racing
can be the new athletes. They're going to save us sports fans. I'm
call Vegas, Russ.
Investors.
Well, Sarah, my youngest, Sarah was down in Vegas 2 weeks ago. She went on Sunday. Sunday morning, she flew down, spent the day at the pool, and then she called me Sunday night and said, "Dad, we're coming on tomorrow." I said, "I feel better about that." I said, "What time's your flight?" She said, "Like 9." And I said, "Okay." Well, then she called me Saturday or Monday morning, and she said, "Dad, we're coming home at 3 because they're shutting the hotel down." And she said, it was the most bizarre time she's been there. She's been there several times. They said there's nobody there.
Yeah, there's all these pictures from Vegas.
Oh yeah,
the whole thing's just deserted. It's never been that since ever.
I have a friend that lives in Redding, and she grew up in San Francisco, and they had a drone picture of driving this drone flying through San Francisco in the middle of the day. 1 or 2 people out, and it is just packed. And even today, I saw a story on in Times Square in New York City. Same thing, maybe 3 or 4 people, and I think that's why they put such a hammer down on people staying home, because they weren't. You know, what was it, 2 weeks ago when the weather was so nice for that weekend?
Yeah.
The Al-Kai was packed.
Yeah.
That's like, come on, people. I mean, yeah, I understand it because it's been shit for weather for the whole season, and that's our first days that you can actually wear a T-shirt and feel comfortable out. But yeah,
it's supposed to be nice again this coming week.
I see
that. Interesting to see if they struggle to get people to stay in.
But you know, if it goes on, I can't imagine them. People are not going to stay in. There's no way.
In the Seattle area when the sun's out? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, and then because you go down to Smith Street where the homeless camps are under the bridge there, and they're walking around town like they're the only ones really that's out.
Yeah.
And what happens to them when they get it?
I walked down to Rucker to see the road project they've done down there, and it was eerie. But yeah, the homeless people are out. Yeah. They're all over the place. Yeah. But it was just me and the homeless people.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, it's crazy because you drive downtown and there's parking everywhere. You know, right on Colby where the Starbucks that's downtown's closed.
Gas is crazy cheap.
Oh, geez, yeah.
We got nowhere to go.
No, exactly. Well, I saw today it was like $25 a barrel.
Yeah, it's gonna hit 20.
Jeez, that's like, no, that is, and you can't go anywhere.
No.
If I get below $2 a gallon here in the Seattle area, like that would be.
Well, I paid $2.99 yesterday on my wife's Infinity for Chevron Premium. And that's usually $3.79 to $3.99.
Yeah.
So I was under $3. I go, yes, fill it. Yes.
Yeah, the economy, man. That's one of the most interesting things about this is that snow globe shaking and the way that money is transacted. And like you said, Derek, about the capitalism Ferrari that is the United States economy. Like that's another, a shake and a wake-up call for, are we awake to how our economies even work, you know?
Yeah, we just ran a big old batch of fryer oil through our Ferrari. It's gonna take a long time for that shit to work its way out.
Yeah.
I was talking to one guy, and he says, it's kind of like a reset button. I mean, it's giving people pause to think.
Yeah.
Are you prepared? Are you? What is important? Like you said, Russ, what's important to you? And once you run out of all the stuff to watch on TV, you're gonna have to be looking at each other like, "Oh God, I gotta talk to you." We gotta actually see. Well, my wife's talking about playing cards, and I'm like, I'm not a card player, but yeah, I mean, because
What the
you
hell?
only watch so much TV.
Right.
And your mind starts to just fog over.
Yeah.
I've actually been a little bit jealous of some of the other people that don't have to go to work, because I'm working a lot, actually. I'm kind of busy, which is, I mean, it's great in that I'm getting a paycheck, and I can't complain about that because there's so many people that aren't. But I'm kind of missing out on the whole I've got nothing to do at home thing. And I'm taking the whole week off next week because we're doing spring break. The kids are on spring break. Misha's off. So that'll be nice. That'll be my 1 week to hopefully get closer to that point of just kind of settling everything down and getting back to basics. But yeah, it's been, I feel like I'm missing out on the party a little bit, which kind of sucks.
But one of the things I've tried to do is stay as normal. So I'm still getting up close to the same time, and I'm making sure I get up and shower, even though I just go into my computer and get on the phone. But I make sure I shave and shower, get dressed, and then I usually take the dog for a walk during the morning, and then sometimes in the afternoon, or one of the other family does. But just trying to maintain that semblance of a routine.
I learned that during the last recession when I was working from home. Like I have to shower, I have to put my jeans on. I can wear a robe or like something over the top of that, but if I just keep my pajama pants on, like the whole day's shot. It's a terrible idea.
Yeah.
So I got to put jeans on. I got to get up out of bed. I can't stay in bed. I got to get up out of bed, go to a different room, sit down, have a room that's dedicated to doing work. Like that stuff's really important because your brain just starts to fry.
Yeah, well, I found that when I take the dog, and we're usually gone for about a half an hour, 45 minutes, and I come back, I feel better.
Yeah.
My mindset's not as depressed. I'm not as depressed. I'm not as anxious about what tomorrow is. But as far as if I just sit around and watch TV, it's like, oh God.
I feel sorry for all the people that are in apartments.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, that's what my daughter and son-in-law said, that they just bought a house back in a year ago. And they said, Dad, I couldn't have handled this.
Yeah.
I couldn't handle my husband. I go, well, I can imagine that, just a 2-bedroom, or no, they just had a 1-bedroom apartment. She goes, now it's nice because I can go to a different part of the house. I get tired here and I go upstairs raising on the computer or whatever. But
there was an article I read that said divorce lawyers' phones are ringing off the hook.
Yeah.
They're just getting tons of calls because all of a sudden you have to spend a bunch of time with the person that you maybe have been avoiding for a couple of years.
Yep.
Yeah. That's really interesting too, because there's like two things going on. It's a weird dualism. So studying what I've studied for 15 years on the other podcast I do, there's people talking about a baby boom, and there's also like, people are ordering like shit on online sex shops like crazy. Mm-hmm. So there's going to be a bunch of kids being born on one side, and then there's a bunch of people getting divorced on the other. And it's a strange kind of dualism. Like when people are locked up, like, what are you doing? And then there's also sex as an escape. Some people have sex but want intimacy. This is like intimacy, forced intimacy. It's like guerrilla. It's like boot camp for we're spending all this time together, and the stuff that can come flooding out of that in a relationship. The relational aspect of this thing is really interesting to me. And how people, I don't know if that's an American thing, like people just boom, knee-jerk call the divorce lawyer if they have money, rather than trying to kind of work through things and see this as a, again, like a blessing in disguise, or start to see what's really important, or start to see where intimacy is broken and people can, reconnect. That stuff's really interesting to me. The fact that both are happening.
The baby boom thing is interesting because there has been that thrown out there, but Misha saw that thing and was like, if there is a baby boom, it's all going to be firstborn kids, because anybody that has a kid and is locked in their house with that kid is not going to be having any more kids.
Yeah.
Like, give me all the birth control.
Yeah.
All the birth control. Because I'm never doing this again.
What if condoms are flying off the shelves like toilet paper?
Yeah, they are. Yeah. There's been a run on condoms.
And they're not using them to put on their fingers.
Yeah.
Well, and the other thing I heard too is that during these times, if you're unemployed and the depression hits, is that the opioids, alcohol or whatever, like alcohol sales are way up.
Yeah.
Because everybody, it's just something to take that numb the edge a little bit.
Yeah.
Dull that fear.
There's a bunch. I get it. There's been a spike in overdose deaths.
Really?
Yeah. Wow. From opioids. Like, because you're stuck in your house. What else are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Like, and you're right. You're trying to escape the anxiety and the boredom. Like, fuck it, let's do some drugs.
Yeah.
I was listening to I think it was Dan Allender's podcast, and he's talking about this idea that we've talked about, is lean into what you're feeling. That's the problem is that we don't want to feel it.
Yeah.
Instead of just lean into what am I feeling? Okay, the fear, the anxiety, the doubt, the frustration, all those feelings that are genuine, and just lean into them. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Yeah. It was a good podcast on this whole area.
You gonna land the plane, Ross?
What's that?
You gonna land the plane?
Yeah, I'm drinking. But it's cheap. It's really cheap beer. See that? My wife
I'm drinking.
My wife's been doing pretty good business. My wife's an Avon lady, and so she's been like, people are shopping when they like online stuff, and
like their own.
Her business is kind of picked up, which has been pretty cool. But again, I wanted to kind of land the plane on that whole, the idea of being conscious of how society kind of runs like a motor, and how, like you said, Steve, how the ways we look to escape. As a guy who's been through recovery groups, there's always some guy in the recovery group who really desiring to be sober and seeing sobriety as kind of the goal. And these guys would think about like escaping to the woods, right? Like, I'm going to go off the grid and I'm going to live in the woods and I'm going to live off the land, and that's going to be my life. It's going to be awesome. And some people actually do that, and they spend about a week or two out there before they realize that, society's pretty fucking cool. Like, having running water, you turn on a faucet and water comes out, or you plug something in and, there's the internet and stuff. And so finding that balance between survival and just living in a society and enjoying our day-to-day lives, it's been kind of cliche lately, but that saying, my mom used to say, this too shall pass, right? It'll pass, God knows when, but it's not going to stay here forever. There's lyrics to a punk song by the Bastard Sons that kind of landed in. I love that lyric. They said, it's the chorus. They just kind of repeat the chorus throughout the whole song. And I can't remember it, but that's kind of where it lands. Like this, hold fast, because this too shall pass. You've had a bad run of luck, but it's not gonna last. And just when you think things are at their worst, you take control of the situation and you place them first. I don't know if I like that part so much, but getting through this and realizing that this will pass one day. It's a kind of a cool piece of history to live through, I'm riding the fucking wave. If there's anything I want out of this, Derek, I want to ride the fucking wave and see where it goes and see where we land, right?
Great time for curious people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Be more curious. That's landing the plane, right? Amen.
Good job, guys.
Later, dudes.
No handshakes. Just
No.
Let me,
Fist bumps.